I don't know what you guys think, but my opinion is that entrepreneurs are largely born, and that there's some sort of kind of internal fire if you're interested in having your own business, or taking, I talk to people all the time, probably you guys too, that say, oh, I had this great idea, but I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't do anything about it. I think you may be at least partially born with it.
I think two of the key characteristics of entrepreneurs, one is they just love to learn, right? They always are figuring out, why does this work? Why does that company work? How do I make things better? And then the second is just a desire to work with the team.
I think entrepreneurs also have a lot of energy. I don't know if you guys agree with that, because just crazy hours, there's always ups and downs, and you have to stay positive. But I would say that for me, being an entrepreneur, I wouldn't have started my business if I didn't see other examples of people that either were successful or at least started businesses. Maybe they weren't successful, but they were doing it.
I've also had a lot of friends who, they talk to me about their ideas, but they're never willing to leave their job, leave kind of the security of what they already know.
It's not like you're saying, oh, I'm happy to be in credit card debt all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, no, I'm willing to make those sacrifices to actually be very successful at the end. And I believe that this idea is what's going to get me there.
So what did you believe in, and what drove you guys to start your businesses?
I was very passionate about small businesses and finding unique products all around the world. I was traveling. I started my career on Wall Street. And so I was traveling a lot, would find something unique, bring it home, would try to find that store again, and they wouldn't have e-commerce, or they wouldn't have any access for customers to discover them. I said, can I study this space? Turns out it's a $20 billion space that nobody is working in. And so, I was really passionate at the end of the day about bringing them online. And as a customer, I was solving my own problem in a way. Are you building something, and are you kind of solving a problem and passionate and problem solving, as you said? But for me, it was a personal problem, and I wanted to solve that.
For us, it was a lot different, because it wasn't really a problem-solving endeavor. It was more of just a family interest and passion. And for us, the inspiration was a trip to Italy that I took with my wife in 2006, where we visited some small wineries who didn't know how to export or couldn't export to the U.S., and the big importing companies weren't interested in talking to them. And so we spent 2 years just formulating this plan, myself and my cousins and brother-in-law, to bring to market these smaller producers. And we've now kind of pivoted a number of times since, but that was kind of the core of the business idea. How about for you? How did you get into mobile gaming?
I'm doing Pixelberry for two reasons. One, just to be honest, is there's that dream that you can build something sustainable and also, set my family up financially. Yep. And then the second really is, after I had kids, a desire to make an impact on the world and kind of leave the world in a little bit better place than when I started. And with Pixelberry, we're really trying to change how teens both play games and learn while they play.
The big impact, and what I think a lot of the people on my team are very passionate about, and took the job and took pay cut in the beginning for working for a startup, is actually helping small businesses.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the businesses email us back and say, we would have gone out of business if it wasn't for you guys. And that's the most rewarding thing you can ever hear as a business, right? You want to think about yourself, you want to think about your shareholders, but you also think about, am I leaving impact on the world?
Yeah, and to that point, I think something that's really rewarding about both companies I've been involved in is really creating jobs, right? And helping people grow in those positions. When you start thinking about, these are people who, they may not have this dream job that they have, or I'm helping to support their families by growing this business. That's making a big impact. And that's why, being here at Aileron to have this discussion, it's great to see how they're helping other businesses grow.